If you're anything like me, a little older, a little wiser, and still full of wonder, then you know the real joy of gardening isn't just in the blossoms. It's in the stories. The rusted teacup from your first apartment. The cracked pot your grandkids painted when they were 5. That odd little thing in the shed you've moved 12 times but can't quite throw away. Well, today we're not tossing any of it. We're turning that junk into joy, because I've been gardening for decades, and let me tell you, some of the best decorations in my yard didn't come from a catalogue. They came from the attic, the garage, the back of the pantry. And with a little love, a little dirt, and a sprinkle of creativity, they came back to life. In this video, I'll show you 35 beautiful, budget-friendly ways to upcycle forgotten items into charming garden decor. No fancy tools, no speed required. Just your hands, your heart, and a few things you already have lying around. So go ahead, pour yourself a cup of tea, pull up a comfy chair, and settle in. We're about to turn memories into masterpieces, because around here, at Agewise, we believe nothing is ever too old to bloom again. Tip number 1, welcoming entryways, first impressions in bloom. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at your front door? Not just passed through it, but stood there and took it in. Thought about what it says before. Anyone even steps inside, because here's the truth. Your entryway sets the tone. It's the first hello, the warm handshake, the opening line of your home's story, and if you're like me, you want that first impression to feel inviting. A little creative, maybe even a little clever, and you don't need a designer budget to get there. Sometimes all it takes is something old, a splash of color, and a little imagination. Let me show you what I mean. The next time you're about to toss that dented old mailbox, you know, the one collecting cobwebs in the garage, pause. That thing still has a job to do. Give it a wash, a cheerful coat of paint, drill a few holes in the bottom for drainage, then fill it with potting soil and flowers. Petunias, pansies, or anything that spills and tumbles over the edge with charm. Place it by your front steps or at the garden gate, and just like that, your mailbox has a second act. No need for bending or digging. You can prep the whole thing, indoors, at counter height, then move it outside when you're ready. Simple, thoughtful, and full of life, because sometimes the most beautiful part of a garden isn't what you plant, it's what you repurpose. And if that made you smile, wait until you see what we're hanging on the front door next. Tip number 2, seasonal wreath with dried blooms. There's something timeless about a wreath. It's a circle, sure, but it's also a quiet welcome. A whisper that says, "This home is loved." Now, I've made plenty of wreaths over the years, but the ones that mean the most, they aren't the store-bought kind with plastic berries and too much glitter. They're made from the garden, from the seasons, from memory, and they're easier to create than you might think. Start with a simple base. An old embroidery hoop works beautifully. Even a wire coat hanger bent into a circle will do the trick. No need to get fancy. Just something to build. On to now, go exploring. Maybe it's lavender you've dried from last summer, eucalyptus, pine cones, wheat, a little bundle of herbs that never made it into the soup pot. Whatever you find, gather it gently. Use twine or floral wire to attach each little piece. There's no perfect pattern. Let it flow naturally the way the seasons do, and here's the best part. You can change it as often as you like. In spring, soft greens and pastel blooms. In summer, bold sunflowers and rosemary. Come autumn, dried grasses and orange leaves. And in winter, maybe a few sprigs of evergreen tied with ribbon and memory. Hang it by the front door or anywhere the breeze can find it. Let it move, let it catch the light. Let it remind you that even when things dry out, they still have beauty left to share. You don't need perfect hands for this project, just a patient one and a heart that loves what's already there. And if you think that little wreath makes your home feel more alive, wait until we talk about something that's practical, personal, and easy on the eyes. Tip number 3, oversized address numbers. Let me paint you a picture. You've got friends coming over, maybe a delivery driver, maybe someone dropping by for the first time. They're creeping down the street, squinting through the windshield, trying to find your house. But your numbers? They're either too tiny, too faded, or hidden behind a bush that's been doing its own thing since 2003. It's time to fix that. With style. Oversized house numbers are one of those little upgrades that make a big difference. Not just because they're easier to read, especially when your eyes aren't quite what they used to be, but because they can add a whole lot of personality to your home. You can find big wooden or metal numbers at any hardware store, or, if you like the thrill of the hunt, check out a salvage yard. Old shop signs, vintage addresses, even mismatched numbers, they all have charm. Mount them on your garden fence, your porch post, or even an old piece of barnwood if you want to get creative. Give them a coat of paint to match your flowers, or leave them weathered for that cozy, lived-in look. And here's the beauty of it. You don't have to get up on a ladder or drill into brick. Just pick a spot that feels right and make it yours. Suddenly, your house doesn't just have a number, it has a presence. It says, "Here I am, welcome." And the next time someone's trying to find your place, they won't miss it. Now, speaking of first impressions, there's one more spot that greets your guests before they even knock. Tip number 4, the stenciled doormat. Now this one might seem small, just a mat, right? Something to wipe your feet on. But here's the thing, your doormat is the very first thing someone steps on when they visit your home. So why not make it say something that actually feels like you? I remember the first time I made my own. I had this plain choir mat, nothing special, a little scratchy, a little boring, but with some outdoor paint and a simple stencil, it became something else entirely, something personal. All you need is a plain mat, some weather-resistant paint, and a stencil. You can find stencils online or make your own with cardboard if you're feeling a little crafty. Tape it down, dab on the paint with a sponge or brush, and let it dry. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be you. Write a phrase that makes you smile. Something simple like "welcome home," or playful like "bloom where you're planted," or even something cheeky like "wipe your paws" if you've got a furry friend. And don't worry if it's not perfect. That little smudge, that uneven letter, that's what makes it charming. You're not going for polished, you're going for personality. It's one of those tiny touches that quietly tells people this house is full of warmth. And when they step through your door, they'll already feel it. Next up, tip number 5A is one of my favorites. It's simple, sentimental, and the best part, you probably already have exactly what you need sitting in a drawer. Let's talk picture frames and how to turn them into something truly special for your garden. Tip number 5, the repurposed picture frame garden sign. You know those old picture frames we all have tucked away somewhere, the ones collecting dust in the closet or hiding in the back of a drawer? They've still got life left in them, because with a little love and a dab of creativity, that forgotten frame can become something charming, something personal, something that says, this garden has a story to tell. Start by taking out the glass and giving the frame a light sanding, just enough to knock off the rough edges. Then pick a color that feels like you. Soft green, sunflower yellow, even a weathered white if you like that rustic look. Give it a coat of paint, let it dry, and now it's ready to bloom. For the backing, anything goes. Wood, corkboard, even chalkboard, if you want to change the message with the seasons. Secure it, and now comes the fun part. The words. Hand paint. Stencil it, write it in chalk, whatever your hands are happiest doing. You can go sweet with Nana's garden, a little cheeky with talk to the plants, or something heartfelt like herbs and hugs. Then tuck it into a flower. Bed, hang it from your fence, or lean it against a pot. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to feel like you. And here's the beautiful thing. Every time you see it, you'll smile. Not because it's fancy, but because you made it with your own 2 hands. And that's where the real joy lives. Now, if you've ever Wished your garden felt more like a place to wander and wonder? Let me show you how a simple path can lead to something magical. Tip number 6, the pebble and moss path. There's something quietly enchanting about a garden path. It's not just about getting from point A to point B, it's about what happens in between. The slow steps, the soft sounds, the way your breath settles as you take your time, and you don't need bricks or pavers or a contractor to make it happen. All you need is a little space, a few smooth stones and a bit of green. Start by laying out a few stepping stones. These can be anything: flat rocks, old pavers, even broken tiles if you're feeling whimsical. Space them out in a way that feels natural, like a gentle meander rather than a straight line. Then, between each stone, tuck in some soft moss or a low-growing ground cover like creeping thyme. Something that fills the gaps with texture and life. And here's what makes it so special. When you walk this path, it feels different, softer, quieter, almost like nature is inviting you to slow down and listen. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to make you feel like you've stepped into a secret little world, even if it's only a few steps long. And if kneeling's not your thing these days, that's okay. Use a garden pad or pull up a stool. This isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And speaking of rhythm, there's something beautiful that happens when your garden doesn't just guide your feet, but speaks to your heart with every single step. Let me show you how to turn your walkway into a poem. Tip number 7, the brick poetry trail. Now this one always makes people pause. There's something about words underfoot. Kind words, quiet thoughts, little reminders that feels like you're not just walking through a garden. You're walking through a memory, and the best part, it's made with the simplest of things, old bricks. Maybe you've got a stack left over from a past project. Maybe they're tucked behind the shed, forgotten, chipped, a little dusty. That's perfect. Because those bricks, they're about to become something meaningful. Start by giving them a good clean. Then take some outdoor paint or a permanent marker, whichever your hands prefer, and write one word on each brick. Hope, peace, breathe. Maybe a short poem, a verse that stayed with you, a little message just for you. Lay them out along your garden path. You can scatter them like surprises or space them out in a steady rhythm, leading from one corner of the garden to the next. And every time you pass them, something happens. Your shoulders drop. Your breath slows. You remember that. Beauty doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just whispers from the ground beneath your feet. And if your handwriting's a little wobbly, good. That's part of the charm. These words aren't meant to be perfect. They're meant to feel lived in, like they belong right where they are. Now imagine if your garden offered not just words, but little treasures tucked between the plants. Tiny tokens of color and encouragement, just waiting to be discovered. Let's talk about stones that speak without saying a word. Tip number 8, painted stone markers. There's something special about a painted stone. Maybe it's the weight of it in your hand. Maybe it's the way color brings it to life. Or maybe it's just knowing that something so small can carry so much heart. And the best part? You don't need any special tools or artistic skills. Just a few smooth stones, a bit of paint, and whatever message your heart wants to leave behind. Next time you're out on a walk, pick up a few flat palm-sized stones. Give them a rinse and let them dry completely. Then grab some acrylic paint or paint pens, whatever you've got, and start small. You can write plant names like rosemary, thyme, or lavender if you want to label your herbs. Or go more personal, words like joy, rest, keep going. Add little flowers, leaves, swirls, or patterns if that feels good to your hands. There's no wrong way to paint a rock. In fact, the more it looks like you, the better. Once they're dry, place them wherever your garden needs a little whisper of encouragement, along a path, tucked beneath a bush, at the edge of a flower bed, somewhere someone might stumble across it and smile. It's not about being loud. It's about leaving little notes of kindness right there in the dirt and the green and the growing things. And if you've got a few old dishes too chipped to use but too pretty to throw away, hang on to them. because next I'm going to show you how to turn them into something beautiful that lives under your feet. Tip number 9, stepping stones from old plates. Now, I don't know about you, but I've got a soft spot for old china, the kind with little roses on the rim. Gold edging, maybe a crack or two from family dinners long gone, too fragile to eat off, of too lovely to toss. So why not give those plates a second life, right in the garden? To make these stepping stones, all you need is a simple mold. A cake pan works beautifully, even a plant saucer. Just spray the inside with a little cooking oil so your stone won't stick. Next, mix up some quick-setting concrete, something basic and easy. Pour it into the mold, then gently press the broken pieces of plate into the surface. You can create a mosaic, a border, or a little flower shape if you're feeling playful. Let it cure, pop it out, and just like that, you've made a stepping stone that holds a memory. Set them in your garden path or nestle them between plants. They don't need to be perfect. In fact, the little flaws and uneven edges make them even more special. It's like walking across stories, one step at a time. And if your hands aren't as steady as they used to be, don't worry. This is a project that welcomes the wobbles, because that's what makes it yours. Now, if you like the idea of walking through light and color, wait until you see what happens when the morning sun hits your garden path just right. Because next, we're going to line it with glass that sparkles like jewels. Tip number 10, path borders from recycled glass bottles. You know those wine bottles, soda bottles, the pretty green and blue ones you almost hate to throw away? Good. Keep them, because with just a little care and creativity, they can become one of the most eye-catching features in your garden, without costing a single extra cent. Start by rinsing them out and peeling off the labels. A little soak in warm water helps if they're being stubborn. You don't need a collection that matches. In fact, the more colors, the better. Then find the edge of your garden path, or even just a flower bed that could use a little framing, and gently bury the bottles upside down. Leave just the bottom showing, like little glass domes in the dirt. You can line them up close together for a bold, dramatic look, or space them out for something softer and more subtle. Either way, when the sunlight hits those bottles in the morning or late afternoon, the whole path comes alive. It sparkles, it glows, and it reminds you that something discarded can still shine. And if you're worried about handling the glass, just wear some garden gloves and take your time. This project isn't about rushing. It's about creating beauty slowly, safely, and with intention. Because sometimes the best kind of magic is the kind that catches the light when you least expect it. Now, paths are lovely, but even the most beautiful garden needs a place to rest. So, let's wander into the next idea. Something soft, simple, and made for those moments when you just want to sit and be. Tip number 11, outdoor pillow covers. Now let me ask you this, have your patio cushions seen better days? Faded from the sun, maybe a little stained, a little tired? Don't toss them. They're not done yet. Instead, give them a refresh with new pillow covers. Not the kind that cost a fortune or require sewing skills from the heavens. Just something easy, cheerful, and made from what you already have. Look through your linen closet. Maybe there's an old tablecloth with a bright floral print, or a curtain panel that's been waiting for a second act. Even a lightweight shower curtain will do the trick. Cut the fabric to size, wrap it like a gift, and secure it with ties or fabric tape. No sewing machine needed, just a bit of folding and a few clever knots. Choose colors that echo your garden: lavender purples, leafy greens, sunflower golds. Or go bold with stripes and polka dots if that's your style. Whatever makes your space feel alive again. And just like that, your old cushions are reborn. They're soft again, fresh again. And they'll make that garden bench feel like a favorite chair you've always known. Because sometimes it's not about starting over. It's about layering in comfort where you already are. And speaking of layering, next, I've got a little trick that adds a burst of color and a whole lot of joy without a stitch of effort. It's something you probably already own. And when the sun hits it just right, it makes your whole space feel like vacation. Tip number 12, patterned beach towels as outdoor decor. Now here's a little trick I swear by, especially when company's coming or the weather's just too perfect to stay inside. Grab a few patterned beach towels, the kind with bright tropical prints, bold stripes, or those vintage florals that make you feel like you're on holiday, even if you're just 10 steps from the back door. And instead of folding them away in a linen closet, drape them over your outdoor seating. Throw them across a garden bench, lay one over the back of a lounge chair, even hang one as a quick table runner if you're serving lemonade or snacks outside. They do more than just look good. They're soft, washable, easy to shake out. And they protect your furniture from sun and dust, and when the breeze picks up, that towel you tossed over the arm of the chair suddenly becomes a cozy little wrap. Perfect for a late afternoon nap or just sitting with a good book while the light changes. It's such a simple swap, but it changes everything. Because you don't need expensive cushions or custom decor to create comfort. You just need something that feels good and looks like joy. Now, if your garden's already feeling softer, brighter, and more you, just wait until we turn an old wooden crate into the perfect little table for tea, books, or that fresh-picked bouquet you didn't know you were about to cut. Tip number 13, the upcycled crate coffee table. If you've got an old wooden crate, or maybe two, tucked away in the shed or garage, now's the time to bring it out into the sunlight. Because what once held dusty tools or forgotten odds and ends is about to become the heart of your outdoor sitting space. Give that crate a good clean and a light sanding to smooth out any splinters. You can leave the wood natural for a rustic feel or brush on a coat of paint or stain to match your garden's colors. A soft green, a weathered gray, even a sky blue works beautifully. Then flip it on its side or stand it upright, whatever feels most useful. You've just made yourself a perfectly charming coffee table, one that's sturdy, full of character, and completely one of a kind. Want to make it even easier to move? Add a few caster wheels to the bottom. That way, you can roll it wherever the sun or the shade happens to be. Top it with a tray, a teacup, a vase of flowers from your yard. Add a little book you're halfway through. Maybe a candle for those golden hour moments. It's more than a table. It's a feeling, a quiet invitation to sit, to rest, to notice the little things. And if you've ever wished for a touch more privacy in your outdoor space, just a bit of shade and softness, well, you're going to love what we're hanging next. Because sometimes all it takes is a bed sheet and a breeze to turn your garden into a sanctuary. Tip number 14, curtains from old bed sheets. Now there's something about the way fabric moves in the breeze that just changes everything. It softens the edges, quietly divides space. And if you've ever sat under a porch or pergola with a light curtain swaying nearby, you know exactly what I mean. It feels like a little escape, like your own secret corner of calm. And here's the best part. You don't need fancy outdoor drapes or a decorator's budget to make it happen. All you need is an old bed sheet. Pull out that floral flat sheet you've been meaning to donate, or that soft linen one with the pretty pattern that's a little too faded for the guest room. String up a clothesline or a tension rod between two posts. Even a sturdy branch will do. Then use clothespins, curtain rings, or whatever you've got on hand to hang the fabric. Just like that, you've created a gentle wall of softness that moves with the wind, blocks just enough sun, and makes your little space feel like a garden hideaway. Light colors work best. Think soft white, cream, or faded florals. They glow in the sun and let just enough light through to keep things warm, not dark. And when you sit behind it with a cup of something warm and the sound of birds nearby, you'll feel it. That little sigh of peace that only a cozy corner can give. And if that soft breeze has you in the mood to lean back and sway a little, then you're really going to love what we're tying up next. Because sometimes all a garden needs is a swing and a moment. Tip number 15, the rustic swing from a wooden plank. You ever hear the creak of a swing and feel your whole body relax? There's something about that slow back and forth rhythm that feels like it's rocking time itself. And trust me, you don't. Need a full playground setup or fancy hardware to bring that feeling home? Just a sturdy branch, a wooden board, and a bit of rope. Start with the seat. A thick, solid plank will do. Something about 18 inches wide, sanded down so it's smooth and splinter-free. Drill 2 holes, one near each end. Now take some strong rope, really strong, the kind meant for outdoor weight, and thread it through each hole. Tie solid knots underneath so the seat stays level. Then it's just a matter of finding the right branch, one that's strong and low, where the breeze feels good and the shade hits just right. Loop the ropes over, tie them off, and give it a test swing. This isn't about going high or fast, it's about creating a quiet perch, a place to sip your iced tea, watch the butterflies, or just sit and listen to the trees creak and whisper the way they've done for decades. And don't worry if you're not as nimble as you once were. Keep the swing low, just a few inches off the ground, enough to sway, enough to breathe. It's simple, it's peaceful, and somehow it reminds you that joy doesn't disappear as we get older. It just gets quieter, deeper, and a little more precious. And if you like the idea of decorating your garden with something that moves, just wait until you see what we're hanging next. Because now, we're adding music to the breeze. Tip number 16, hanging wooden tiers. Now, before we get to the music, let's talk about movement. Not loud or showy, but slow, swaying movement that makes your garden feel alive, even when you're sitting still. And one of the loveliest ways to bring that feeling in, a hanging tiered garden. All it takes is a few wooden boards, some rope, and a little space to let them dance in the air. Start with 2 or 3 flat boards. Anything from leftover shelf wood to old cutting boards will do. Drill holes in each corner, then thread thick rope through all 4 corners, tying knots underneath to hold each level in place. Think of it like a hanging staircase, but filled with plants. Once your tiers are strung up, hang the whole thing from a sturdy hook, a pergola beam, or a strong tree limb. Then fill each level with small pots, herbs, flowers, maybe even a trailing ivy or 2. What you've just made isn't just vertical storage. It's a floating garden, a soft little sculpture that catches the wind, casts dappled shadows, and gives your plants a place to sway. It's especially wonderful if bending low isn't your favorite thing anymore. Everything's up where you can see it, reach it, enjoy it. And now that your garden is moving, let's make it sing. Because next, we're adding chimes made from something you'd normally toss in the recycling bin. But oh, what a second life it's about to have. Tip number 17, upcycled glass bottle wind chimes. There's something about a soft clink in the breeze that makes you stop and smile. It's gentle, it's grounding, and it turns an ordinary afternoon into something a little more magical. And, believe it or not, you can create that feeling. With old glass bottles, wine bottles, soda bottles, olive oil bottles, the ones with beautiful shapes or colors you always hesitate to throw out. Don't toss them, turn them into music. Now, if you're comfortable using a glass cutter, you can slice the bottoms off and turn them into elegant open chimes. But if that sounds like too much fuss, don't worry. You can leave the bottles whole and decorate them instead. Paint the outside, wrap them in wire, or leave them just as they are. Use sturdy twine or fishing line to hang them from a piece of driftwood, a tree branch, or even an old garden rake head. Space them out so they can gently tap each other in the wind. Not clang, just tap. That soft, hollow sound of glass greeting glass. When the light hits the glass and the breeze starts to stir, you'll get music and sparkle all at once. And it's not loud. It's not showy. It's just peaceful, personal, like your garden is humming its own little tune. And if you like the sound of that, just wait, because next we're making music from something even smaller, Something you probably have stuffed in a drawer, forgotten and jingling around like tiny secrets from another life. Tip number 18, vintage key wind chimes. Now I want you to think about that drawer. You know the one with the keys, tiny ones, chunky ones, maybe one with a tag that says shed, even though the shed's long gone. You don't know what they open anymore, but they meant something once. Well, now they're going to mean something again, because those old keys, they're about to become music. All you need is a sturdy stick, maybe a piece of driftwood, a tree branch, even the handle from an old broom. Tie a few strings of fishing line or thin twine across it, and then hang those keys at different lengths, one by one. Let them dangle freely, spaced just far enough apart so they knock gently in the wind. Not harsh, not noisy, just that soft, delicate clinking like a whisper from the past. You can leave the keys plain or paint a few if you want to add color. Tie on some ribbon, lace, or even beads if your hands are feeling playful. Then hang it near your favorite sitting spot. Every time the wind stirs, you'll hear it. That light, lovely sound that's half melody, half memory. It's like your garden is telling stories for you in the quietest, most beautiful way. And while we're hanging up forgotten treasures, let's head back to the kitchen. Because next, we're taking something humble and turning it into a hanging planter that's clever, charming, and full of character. Tip number 19, colander planters. You ever open that kitchen cabinet and find a metal colander that's too bent to use but too sturdy to toss? Well, don't toss it. Hang it. Because that old kitchen tool, it's actually the perfect hanging planter, and here's why. It already has drainage holes, it has handles, it's light but strong. And with a little imagination, it goes from pasta strainer to patio star. Start by giving it a good wash. Then line the inside with something soft, coconut coir, burlap, even a few layers of coffee filters if that's what you've got on hand. Add your potting mix and pick something happy to grow. Pansies, strawberries, trailing petunias, anything that likes to spill and tumble over the edge. Once it's planted, use rope, twine, or chain to hang it from a porch beam, a tree branch, or a shepherd's hook in the garden. And just like that, you've got a planter that drips with charm. It's got personality, it tells a story, and it catches the eye in the best kind of way. Plus, when someone says, "Is that a colander?" you can just smile and say, "Used to be." Because that's the beauty of upcycling. It doesn't just save money, it makes meaning. And if that's not charming enough, wait until you see what happens when we hang a teacup in a tree. Let's just say the birds are going to love you. Tip number 20, the hanging teacup feeder. Now this one feels like a secret between you and the garden. If you've got an old teacup, maybe it's chipped, maybe it's from a mismatched set, maybe it once belonged to someone you loved, don't let it gather dust. Give it a second life, filled with seeds, sunshine, and birdsong. All you need is the cup and saucer, a little bit of strong glue, and some twine or wire. Glue the teacup to the saucer, just slightly tilted, so the seeds don't spill out too easily. Then carefully drill or tie through the saucer's edges and hang it from a tree branch, a hook, or even the corner of your porch. Fill it with bird seed, step back and wait. And before long, the garden will come to you. Tiny feathers, gentle chirps, that flurry of wings you can watch from your favorite chair, cup of tea in hand, while they enjoy theirs. It's not just a feeder, it's an invitation. A little daily reminder that joy is in the smallest, quietest moments, especially the ones that find you when you're not looking. Now, friend, if you've made it this far, you already know. This wasn't just about DIY projects, it was about art, about seeing the beauty in what's old, forgotten, or a little worn around the edges. Sound familiar? So if your hands are itching to create, or even if you're just smiling at the thought, don't forget to subscribe to Age-Wise for more soulful, creative ideas made with you in mind. And tell me in the comments, which treasure are you bringing back to life? An old teacup, a broken pot, a memory you didn't know you'd kept. Let's grow a community where nothing and no one is ever too old to bloom again. Until next time, keep planting, keep dreaming, and always make space for joy.